Okay. Alright. My name is Justin.
My name is Doris.
Alrighty. So, we have a assessment session today. So, before we start, I just wanted to go over some housekeeping things. Before we start, you'll need to read and sign this confidentiality agreement, and it basically just says that everything we talk about is going to stay between us, and no one else will know. But there's a couple scenarios where I might have to break confidentiality and tell someone else. So some of them are if you present a danger to yourself or others. So if you're at risk of suicide or someone's at immediate risk of getting hurt, if there's a child who is we have a suspicion is under some form of abuse, we'll have to contact Children's Aid, or if the court subpoenas or summons any of the documents or any of the conversations we have. So basically, it just explains everything right here. So if you can read it over and take a couple minutes to make sure you understand it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So I'll give you some time to do that. Okay. So, do you have any questions, or is anything unclear to you?
No, it's not good.
All right, perfect. I'll just sign this. Okay, so now that's perfect. So now I read from your brief intake file that you are 20 years old and you have a child, and you live at home, but that's pretty much all it says. So I'd like to hear a little bit more from you about your background and yeah.
I am 20 years old. My son is 18 months old. I live in a basement apartment with my mother, and we're not doing so good. She actually wants me to move out, and yeah, I guess the reason that I'm living there now is because of an abusive relationship with my ex-boyfriend.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that's a lot of stuff to take in. That must be very difficult to be working through that every day. So, what do you do for work or school, if I may ask?
Never went to college. I only have a high school education. I don't work currently. I am on welfare.
Okay. All right. That's all right. So you mentioned that your mom wanted you to move out.
Yep.
Is that something you want to do as well?
No, I would rather stay there until I could find a job and somewhere else to live.
Okay. Um, okay. Is there any? Do you have any particular interests of work, like area that you'd like to work in, or is there anything that you want to do as a career?
No, anything is fine as long as I can have enough money to provide for myself and my son,
Okay.
take care of those and whatever.
So providing for your family is obviously very important. Yes. Do that. Okay, and you said that you only finished your grade 12.
Yeah.
Did you have any plans or aspirations to go back, or is there any?
I was gonna start college until I got pregnant, so that's why I never attended. If I could go back, if I had enough money to go, I would.
Okay. So in the future, do you feel that's something that you like to do if you have enough time and enough money?
Yeah, I would. But
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure as to what I would go for.
Okay, so that's still in the open. Is there any areas like in your personal life that you have interest in that you could maybe?
As of right now, the only interest I have is taking care of my son, so I don't know.
Okay, that's understandable. It's very stressful to have to raise a son with not alone. Sorry, must be difficult to raise a son alone. Do you have any support from anyone, including like your mother? Does she help out with?
Yeah, she helps out, but it's just stressful for the two of us since she doesn't want me to stay there. Because my baby father is not a good role model, I guess I can say. He's not doing good at all, and she doesn't like him. And he keeps coming back, so.
Okay. She says that
She
wants you to move out because she doesn't like this.
Yeah. Going back and forth. Yes.
Okay. Is the father of your son able to help out at all, or does he help out at all?
No.
No? Okay.
We actually have a restraining order over him, so he's not able to see his son out.
Okay. It was very difficult to be in a situation where you're not able to get any support from the father of your child, and that obviously has a lot of impact on other areas in your life. Is there a reason why what's the reason that he has that you have a restraining order against him?
Because he's very abusive, physically and emotionally.
Okay.
Just towards me, not her child or my mother.
Okay. So only towards you and not towards anyone else. Is there any reason for that? Has it always been that way, or did it just recently?
It hasn't. It started after we had our son.
Okay.
I don't know why, because I don't think I did anything wrong.
Okay, I can see how having a son can be stressful. What does he do for a living, and what does he do for a living? And
he doesn't have an actual job.
Oh, okay. So I can understand why your mother is hesitant to have him around you and your child, because he's obviously working through some difficulties right now. And yeah. Okay. So it's a lot of information to take in, and it's a very difficult situation. Now, outside of your mom, is there anybody else in your family or community that has been able to support you or help you through this difficult time?
No, just me. I guess I could say after I finished high school and moved in with my ex-boyfriend, I guess, or my baby father, I never really talked to anybody. It's been the two of us.
And then you moved in with him, and how long did you live together?
Until a couple months ago.
Okay, so you just recently moved back to your
To my mom's house.
mom's house. Okay. Now she's pressuring you to move back out because of the turmoil that it's caused.
Yep.
Okay. So, do you have any groups? Like, are you a member of any clubs or any church organizations that'd be able to support you at all? Okay. Is there any possibility that you want to look into something like that? Just have some people who are around that are able to
I guess
talk with you and
I guess so.
okay. Alrighty. So some other things we want to talk about are transportation. Like, how do you get around? How did you get here today? And
Take the bus.
okay, so you take the bus everywhere. All right. Okay. So you mentioned that if you'd be able to, you would go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
Is that one of the goals that you have set for the next couple of months or next couple of
Yes, I do. Eventually.
eventually? Okay. So now just picking up on that, for the occupation and the education, is there is your mother willing or able to help at all with babysitting, or is she busy with work full time herself?
She works full time. She's available some days, like today, for instance.
Okay, so she's available some days. So some concern, some obstacles to education are babysitting, which is very expensive, and moving out also the costs. That's understandable. Do you have any other concerns surrounding anything else in this situation? Like, I can see that transportation. So taking the bus around is going to be too difficult while going to school and trying to get your child for babysitting and stuff. So transportation's an issue. And did you have any concerns about your ex-boyfriend who...
If he comes close to me, I guess, while I'm minding my own business, I guess. Like, if he doesn't follow the restraining order, as he hasn't been lately.
Okay. Is there any way that he could possibly get him to help support your child? Because it's clearly very difficult to do this all by yourself, especially.
I don't know if he's able to, since he doesn't work a regular job, and he's been in and out of jail for a very long time.
Okay. All right. So it's obviously a very difficult situation, and very strong for being able to overcome so far. Is there so outside of going to school and outside of stuff like that, outside of that, is there any goals you have? Like, is there any hobbies that you used to have?
I read.
So reading. Okay, so it's a very popular way to relax and de-stress and do that. So maybe something you could look into is joining some kind of book club or something like that, where there's other people who can help you with this, and talking to other people is always very helpful. So, yeah, is is there anything that you would like to speak about outside of?
If you know any good housing spots or somebody that would help me take care of my bills while I go to school and pay for babysitter.
Okay, so the big goal is to try and move out.
Yep.
Because your living situation right now isn't working. And okay, so moving out number one. So we'd be able to look into places that'll help you with subsidized rent and things of that nature. But moving out is it's a very big step. So I think we could break it down into some smaller steps and try and go slow, because it's very stressful to move, especially without a car and especially without stuff like that. Yeah. So moving out to the end goal. Do you have? Okay. Okay, yeah, so we can look into trying to find you a place to move out. And then if you were to move out, would you mind living with roommates, or would you prefer to live alone? Okay. And okay, if you live by yourself, would you stay in contact with your ex-boyfriend because of? Okay, that's good to hear. Because it's difficult, obviously. So, other than moving out, would you be opposed to maybe going to school? Finding some kind of post-secondary education that you can do part-time while you take care of your kid, and have your mom also try and help out.
I could take care of if it's like online school, I guess. So I don't have to travel so far. And I wouldn't have to get a babysitter or ask my mom to take days off of work.
Okay. So maybe the first step in the moving out would be to find some kind of program that you'd like to get into, so that you can maybe have a more stable job, or more stable income before you move out, to make it easier. Because moving out's not easy. So, do you have any abilities or talents that you would like to use?
I don't think so. The only thing I do is read, and while I was in high school, I did take dance classes. I guess that's about it.
Okay. Is there anything in life that gives you satisfaction, like just pure satisfaction? So for some people, it could be building. Some people like to do woodworking, and then some people love math, so they do accounting and stuff like that. Is there anything like that gives you genuine satisfaction?
When I danced in high school.
When you dance. Okay, so dancing's a perfect outlet for stresses in life. So, is there anywhere around you that offers like a like open studio or dance? Maybe not dance classes, but somewhere that you could go dance when you're feeling overwhelmed or feeling.
Not that I know of.
Okay. So that's another thing we could look into because in the city there's a lot of community centers that are open for people when they have free time. So maybe looking into something like that would be helpful because it's all clear that you're going through a lot right now. So finding an outlet for a lot of the stresses, because I'm sure that sometimes you feel overwhelmed because it's a lot at once, would be very helpful. So we could look into that too. And, So, a couple of things that we came up with are trying to find you a suitable program that works with your tight schedule right now. Trying to find you a suitable outlet for personal enjoyment, and then the final step would be to move out. So it's a long process, but I feel like this is a good groundwork for the way that you would like to go. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. And do you have any other expectations or anything else that you'd like to?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Okay. Yeah, right. So I guess now we're gonna do some visual assessment tools, which is something that my colleague here is more will be able to explain. What? Oh. Okay. I don't know which ones they are. Just do it in there somewhere. Okay. So this is something that my colleague here will be able to explain a little bit better, and there's a way. Yeah. So I find them very helpful, and I hope that you will too. So I'll see you at your next appointment.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hi Doris, I'm Alicia.
Hi, Alicia.
So have you ever heard of or done a visual assessment tool before? Okay. Visual assessment tools are a useful tool. They're used to identify events and factors that influence our lives. They're also helpful in identifying strengths and weaknesses that we can build on and areas that we can work on. The two visual assessments that I thought we could work on today are called a critical events timeline and an EcoMap. Critical events timeline is a simple table that reflects important information, events, and experiences in your life, starting from birth in chronological order. You start from the day you were born as your first event and document each critical event that has happened preceding your birth, such as marriage, birth of siblings, deaths, divorces, abuse, anything that's been a critical event throughout your life. And the EcoMap highlights a person's social environment. It'll give us a visual.
Kristen, something happened to the laptop.
I think it's okay. Oh, it is definitely still recording. Okay, it's okay.
social strengths and supports, as well as the nature of the relationships in your life, and the positive or negative effects that these relationships have on your personal environment. We can start with an eco map. Demonstrate kind of how to do it, and then we'll get you to do it with me. So we'll start with the middle of the page. We'll draw a circle, and this represents you. So put your name. And we use symbols to represent male and female. So a female is represented by a circle, males are represented by squares. And then we'll start by drawing other circles around us that'll represent other relationships in your life, such as family members, your friends, work, school, groups that you're involved in, other social activities that you like to do. Okay, and then we'll draw lines to connect these relationships to the middle circle, which is you. But each line indicates the type of relationship you have with them. So a solid line will represent a positive relationship. Plus signs will represent a stressful relationship. And broken lines represents a tenuous relationship. Okay, great. And then next we'll do the critical events timeline. So we'll start with the day you were born.
Do I have to put the days or the year?
We'll put what as close to, I guess, the date that you can, well, your birthday you'll know. If you don't know the date, you can do as, a rough date or the age that you were at the time that it happened. So we'll start with birth, and then the next important or critical event that you think had happened throughout your life. Okay, great. So after completing these, is there anything that has kind of come up for you, traumatic things that, you know, maybe when you were talking to Justin you didn't remember that you wanted to work on?
I'm not really sure.
Okay. So this is great. This gives us a good visual idea of the areas that are, you know, stressful or areas that we want to work on. Also see some, you know, positive supports that maybe you didn't know you had before that we can help, you know, relieve some of the stress. So if it's okay with you, I think I will leave this for Justin, and you guys can go over it together in your next session. Okay?
Yep.
Well, it was very nice meeting you, Doris. We'll see you in a couple weeks.